Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm continuing my Rated Battle Special VGC 14 ladder series. I've changed my team a bit from last time. I'm now running Talonflame over Charizard Y and Pokegardevoir over Azumarill. Once again, just slapping a bunch of Pokemon on. I do have my Aerodactyl Manectric core still with Special Tyranitar and Ferrothorn. And just an update on my actual kind of rating on Special Battle Spot. I don't actually battle very much outside of doing these videos for you guys, so that's why my rating is not very high right now. But my opponent's going to be 1545, and Carlox's team is going to be Aegislash, Greninja, Sableye, Gardevoir, Gengar, and Charizard. Really interesting team. The Sableye definitely scares me the most. I think Manectric's going to be very valuable in this matchup, as is Gardevoir. Talonflame's actually going to be really, really good here because Talonflame can hit his entire team basically for either neutral or super effect damage, and since I am Choice Scarfed, that's going to be really helpful. So I think I'm going to lead with Manectric and Talonflame just to put on pressure right away, and I definitely want Tyranitar to counter the Charizard. And for my last one, I'm debating between Ferrothorn and Gardevoir, but I am leaning towards, I think I'm going to go with Ferrothorn. Just because outside of the Charizard, it can really destroy Carlox's entire team. So I'm going to go with that. And the rest three of my Pokemon handle his Charizard pretty well. So if I can KO the Charizard, I'll be set. Sableye is really annoying to deal with, though, because it has Prankster and often gets access to moves like Swagger, Thunder Wave, etc. So it can be really annoying, but it's not used as much. I see Meowstic a lot more often. But of course, Sableye has access to Recover. And you see my opponent's actually going to lead with Sableye right away, which is a mighty fine play, as I'm going to go with Manectric and Talonflame. I suspect that there's going to be a Fake Out coming this turn, so I'm going to Thunderbolt the Greninja and switch out my Talonflame into Ferrothorn. If you're in Carlox's position, you'd imagine a double target onto a Talonflame, Fake Outing, and using a Water type attack to KO it, because otherwise the Bravery would just KO the Greninja. But let's see if Carlox actually does that. The safest play here would have just been Protect with Manectric, but I'm just going to go for it and try to get a KO onto the Greninja right away from the start, because if I get it, that'll be huge. I'm going to get an Intimidate off from both of my opponent's Pokemon, but neither of that is actually going to matter. Sableye is going to Fake Out. Yep, into the Ferrothorn, as I correctly assumed. So it's going to take a bit of Iron Barb's damage, and that's always good. And let's see what Greninja does. Oh, Greninja going for the Rock Slide, okay. Physical Greninja, not very common at all. Should not do too much to my Manectric, but with that critical hit, it's going to do quite a lot, even through the Intimidate, obviously, because with critical hits, you're going to attack through Intimidate. But I'm still going to survive with a bit, and I'm going to take that, so not the worst of situations. I'm going to go for another Thunderbolt on Greninja here and just Leech Seed the Sableye. That crit was unfortunate because otherwise Rock Slide at -1 from a Greninja really wouldn't do that much, but what can you do sometimes, right? Sableye's going to Will-O-Wisp my Ferrothorn, but I have a Lumberry specifically for that case, so I'm going to heal off that burn. Manectric going to outspeed this Greninja, obviously, get the Thunderbolt to KO, and I'm going to pick up a KO here, and hopefully my Leech Seed hits, and if it does, I'll be in a very good position. Leech Seed is going to connect here, so pretty good first two turns for me. Still interested in seeing physical Greninja over the common special Greninja, but that Rock Slide did a lot to my Manectric, so not the worst of plays. And I'm just glad I switched out the Talonflame on the first turn, because I think Talonflame can really help in this matchup, but one thing about Talonflame is it often just faints right away, so you have to play very safely with it. Aegislash is going to come out now. I'm just going to Overheat and Leech Seed into it. King Shield should not block Leech Seed, so even if he does King Shield, I'll be able to get a free Leech Seed off, and if he does, if he doesn't, then I'm just going to get an Overheat off. And Sableye is actually going to switch out, most likely into Charizard, and that is what comes in, so a good play there. Oh, and Aegislash is actually going to stance change, so I assume we're going to see a Shadow Sneak here, which is what we do see. And that's going to knock my Manectric out. So very nice play there. Shadow Sneak, not as common as moves like Substitute. Ferrothorn is going to hit this Leech Seed though, so that's going to be huge. And I'm still in a pretty good position, especially because I have Tyranitar now, which I can bring in, and that outspeeds the Aegislash. I'm also tempted to just bring in Talonflame. And knowing that Carlox's last Pokemon is going to be a Sableye, I think I'm going to bring in Tyranitar here. And now, Tyranitar obviously just directly counters the Charizard. Tempted to Dark Pulse the Aegislash. I don't expect Charizard to do anything this turn. I'm going to Dark Pulse Aegislash and just Protect with Ferrothorn. Let's see if I call this correctly. The assumption of this is that my opponent is going to want to protect with Charizard to avoid a Rock Slide KO this turn, but Charizard's actually going to reveal itself to be Charizard X and not Charizard Y. Not something you see often every day, but it has a lot of potential. I've actually lost to it yesterday, and it's not going to protect this turn as Ferrothorn, the slower Pokemon's going to get a protect off. So that's cool to see. Charizard gonna only Flare Blitz into the Ferrothorn though, as Dark Pulse should pick up a KO on Aegis Slash because it's in Sword form, and it does. So that turn playing out basically pretty perfectly for me. And I'm gonna pick up a KO there, and I'm gonna be 3-2 now. Ferrothorn, I think at this point in the game has basically done its job, so I can, I'm content with just letting it faint. With Flare Blitz onto the Ferrothorn, Charizard's actually going to take a lot of recoil damage, and what that's going to allow me to do is allow me to bring in my Talonflame and safely Brave Bird it. So I'm in a pretty good position as of now. I'm just going to Rock Slide here and go for a Gyro Ball or a Power Whip onto the Sableye. I actually want Ferrothorn to faint at this point, but I don't want to switch it out because I want Talonflame to have as much HP as possible. So this is one of the cases where you should just sack your Pokemon. I'm actually going to avoid this Will-O-Wisp too. Not the biggest of deals, even if that hit. I think I would have a game 1 at this point, but it's just going to make things a bit easier. Ferrothorn's health is going to go down so quickly to this Flare Blitz as Charizard takes some Iron Barbs damage, and of course it's going to take a lot of recoil damage as well. Yeah, you see there, it does basically 50% to itself. Charizard actually going to avoid that Rock Slide, and Sableye is going to take a nice chunk, actually. Did not expect myself to do that much. And it doesn't have a Citrus Berry, surprisingly. So Talonflame's going to be able to clean this game up at this point. And just so I don't lose to any Swagger Thunderwave shenanigans, I'm actually going to target the Sableye with the Brave Bird instead of the Charizard. Because Charizard can only target one of 2 Pokemon, so no matter who Charizard targets, I should be able to win. I'm going to Dark Pulse the Charizard and just Brave Bird the Sableye, and this should clean up the game. Interesting to see Charizard X instead of Charizard Y, though. I think it has some potential, it's just every time I see a Charizard, I still immediately assume the Y variant and not the X. And Charizard does go for the Protect here, so I make the right play because Brave Bird is just going to knock out this Sableye. Of course, Sableye has Prankster, but because Talonflame has Gale Wings, both of our moves are at +1, so whoever is faster, in this case Talonflame, is going to move first. Talonflame's going to pick up this knockout, and it's going to be 2-on-1 now, as I can safely Brave Bird the Charizard next turn to win. So a pretty clean game there. My opponent had some pretty unconventional stuff, like Greninja with Rock Slide and Charizard X. But it's always cool, I think, to feature non-conventional teams as opposed to conventional teams in this series, because you see so many teams with, Garchomp, Salamence, Kangaskhan, Charizard Y, Aegis Slash, etc. So it's cool to occasionally see, some unique Pokemon that you don't get to see featured every day. And Charizard X and Greninja were able to, do some work against my team, but I think I was just overwhelm my opponent with offense. And you can see here, Talonflame's going to KO this Charizard, pick up the win here for me, 2-0 win. Choice Band Talonflame is something that's really cool. Talonflame often is debated about how good it is and viable it is in VGC. It's been on a bunch of really good teams this year, but at the same time, a lot of people, most notably 3-time world champion Ray Rizzo, they don't like it because it's so frail, and Talonflame it basically just KOs itself through all the recoil damage. But anyway, that's it for today's game, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about everything. Of course, 300 likes for the next battle in the series. You guys have been doing an awesome job keeping me on top of my toes and really recording more content for you guys. And I'll probably bring another individual Pokemon analysis on Mega Manectric soon. I have a lot more planned. I'll definitely have more time to make content after next weekend because I'm taking the SAT in just 5-6 days. And once that's gone, I should have more time to produce more stuff for you guys. But once again, let me know what you thought. Of course, rate, comment, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. All right, peace.